I don't know how it's evolving, but I'll give you my perspective on user-generated content. I think it's largely defined by the system that it's entered into. So each system defines its own rules, and the people in that system have their own motivations, and that kind of defines how the content is useful and how it's discovered. So one reason that I really wanted Goodreads to exist was that I didn't think Amazon's system was sufficient. I do read Amazon reviews, just FYI, and I do think they're useful, but they are also somewhat corrupted by the publishing industry, maybe just a little. Is that inflammatory? But what you get on Goodreads is a different variety.
I don't think that's I think it's just a fact.
It's just a fact. Thank you. So the motivation of a person writing a review on Goodreads or any social network or even a blog is they're writing it for their own readership. They're not writing it to help someone make a decision, should I buy this on Amazon? They're writing it for their readership, which on Goodreads is their set of friends. They might have 15 friends, they're going to know tomorrow my friends are going to see this on Goodreads, and I want to let them know what I thought of it. And I might write a sentence, I might write 2 sentences. In preparation for this, I pulled one statistic out of our database. I looked at 6 books, popular titles, like Water for Elephant, and I found Amazon had like 6,000 reviews of Water for Elephant, and we had 16,000. And that 10x number was pretty much consistent across all books. We have 10 times more reviews, text reviews than Amazon for most books. But here's the kicker, is 90% of our reviews are less than 150 characters. So they're really short. And is that very useful to anybody but those person's friends? No. But is that very useful to those person's friends? Absolutely. One sentence from a friend is enough to make me interested in a book and maybe even decide whether or not I read it, or at least ask the person, hey, what did you really think? So I think you get a much more honest flavor, or just different flavor of review on sites like Goodreads that is useful. And the other flavors are equally useful. They're just a different flavor to help you make the decision of, are you interested in this book? So I would say, Publishers Weekly, Amazon, Goodreads, you should look at all these places and figure out which works for you.
When I wanted to go to this question of user-generated content and talk a little bit about assignment versus voluntary acquisition of books, which I think is a big thing too. When I was a book reviewer and I reviewed books freelance for everywhere, and then I've become an editor of books and then an author. When you're a freelancer and you oftentimes get books that you have no choice about, they're sent to you by an editor and you review them. Or you drop by the office, you need the work because you're starving, and the editor says, are you interested in this book? And no one says no. As you get a little standing in the industry as a freelancer, you start to say no. But as a young reviewer, and a lot of this industry in New York is sort of, that's an important layer of this. And that's always been, to me, when I was doing it even, a strange part of this process, because that's like if you go into a bookstore to buy a book, and instead of the book you want, someone hands you one, and randomly. And sometimes your editor has a sense of what you like or a sense of your sensibility, and sometimes not. That's very strange to me, because the thing that you end up saying about that book is sometimes going to be intelligent and well thought out, but also utterly ungrounded and crazy, because what connected you to that title? The one thing about user-generated content that I think is true, although we can hear if this is still true, is that it's voluntary. And that's, I think, the good thing about it, that people are drawn to the titles that they're drawn to. Now, as the professionalization of this increases and people get a little reputation and get ego because they have the most Goodreads reviews, or if you look on Amazon, the people who review the most books on Amazon, and that becomes their brand, that's their thing. A little bit of that trickles, it drains away from them. And it's not just about the enthusiast and people speaking about the books that they love. It's about them being the busiest author reviewer, the busiest reader reviewer. And so, I wonder what the other panelists and then the audience thinks about this, because it's really not, it is a profession, we all work in it, but at the same time it sort of isn't a profession. It's a mechanism for connecting people with artworks. And so, balancing those two, we all get paid by this industry to varying degrees, so it's not like we don't know it's a job, but there's something uneasy about it being a job, and always has been, because blurbs are a good example. No other industry is crazy enough to do that. You don't flip over a painting, and on the back, there's quotes from other painters. It doesn't really make sense, and yet everybody does it, and everyone has to do it, and every dirty hand washes every other dirty hand, and it's evolved this way, and you know, it is what it is. But at the root of it, and I think this may be changing for things that Otis was saying or Peter was saying, I think the industry has to figure out the degree that it's still a profession in that sort of corporate way for publishers, for editors, for critics, for authors, and the degree to which it's the other thing. And so, you know, I mean, good luck to everyone.
I think I'm gonna open to the floor. We really didn't cover very much. But we did. I think that we began to get a handle on the questions, and I have one sort of. I'm hoping for some tweet answers in the spirit of chaos. Is there anything that you're particularly looking forward to leaving behind as the review evolves? Stump the panel. Did I get you guys? No.
I think I'm looking forward to leaving behind the idea that there are only certain places with authority. I think I am looking forward to the fact that some of the things that are changing are allowing new voices to come in.
Yeah, I think that's a good time.
And I was
Go ahead.
gonna say, and this may sound contradictory to what I was saying in my last comments, but what I think is great is that there are more voices, as that's it, but also that the lofty tone of some of the traditional voices is now being sort of humbled a bit, and I don't think that's a bad thing, because I think we've all been a little weary of those who feel that they have the authority to opine and to puff themselves up.
Although we love them too. Last night at the Tweet Up, we were drinking Michiko Kakutinis.
No, we like her for some things, but not for